Hello, welcome to my fossil PowerPoint. This PowerPoint is going to focus on getting you used to the groups that my web page covers. The first group we are going to talk about today is arthropods. And the first picture, a lot of you may know this, is a trilobite. The trilobites are actually the most common and successful group of arthropods. Now below that is a shrimp, or a crustacean. Those are also arthropods, along with present-day spiders, grasshoppers, and cockroaches. Now what classifies an arthropod? What does it mean to be an arthropod? You have to have the three lobes, the head, thorax, and the abdomen, just like on a grasshopper and a cockroach. The second group we're going to touch upon is the brachiopods. Now, brachiopods, they're not symmetrical like mollusks. The two shells are uneven. Mollusks are perfectly even and straight. Now, these brachiopods, they filter feed, which means they suck in the water and hope there's tiny planktons and other microscopic organisms in there that they will swallow and eat. And when they're filter feeding, a long, stocky little stalk thing will come through a hole in their shell and attach to the sea floor, and then they'll just filter feed from there. The third group is bryozoans. Now, we're going to talk about the picture on the bottom. You know how it looks, like a little peace sign or something? It's covered in like a glistening silver material that looks like moss, and that's why bryozoans are referred to as moss animals. Now, bryozoans, long ago, they lived in colonies, and they would just filter feed together. They lived in marine and freshwater environments. That is very rare to see upon different species to live in both of those environments. Usually, species only live in one. The next group is corals. Corals, they flourished back then in the Devonian period, which was a long time ago and is also referred to as the age of fishes. A lot of sea life flourished during that period. Now, corals, they look like, those little undersea organisms, they don't move much. You'll be surprised to figure out that they're related to jellyfish and sea anemones. They look completely different, but yes, they are related. Now, corals, it doesn't look like it, but back then they had a mouth, they had tentacles, they had a pulp, which is like a mouth that they would filter feed through, and a skeleton even, which is very, very interesting. Now, the next one is probably the most interesting, dinosaurs. Dinosaurs lived during the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods. The name dinosaur, or the group dinosaurs, it was created by a paleontologist named Sir Richard Owen. And there are two types of dinosaurs that basically classify them, the Saurischians and the Ornithischians. Now the Saurischians, as the top picture shows, like T-Rex on the top, they had lizard-like hips, which means their hips were swept forward. And the Ornithischians, they had bird-like hips, and their hips were swept back. Now, incoderms, which basically is like starfish, brittle stars, sea anemones, sea lilies. Now, yes, they include the starfish, brittle stars, sea cucumbers, sand dollars, and sea urchins. All of those are in the incoderm family. They are strictly solitary, which means they will not live in colonies or groups. They will strictly be on their own. Incoderm skeletons, they are very unique. They are made of individual plates made of crystals. That is something you will rarely ever see in organisms. The next group we'll touch upon is fish. Now, fish, they're the most successful group of vertebrates to ever roam the earth. These guys, they are very successful. Very successful. They flourished in the Devonian period, which what we touched on earlier. It's known as the Age of Fishes. And these early fish, They had huge armor plating like the one you might see down below in the second picture. They were protected by these huge armored fish. The next group is mammals. Now, mammals are vertebrates, and they're classified because they are nourished by their mother's milk. Mammals appeared on Earth in the Triassic period, which is a coincidence, the same period where the dinosaurs appeared. Now, mammals, like birds, they are very closely related. They're both warm-blooded. The next group is mollusks. Now, mollusks include clams, oysters, scallops, abalone, squid, octopus, and snails. They have a very extensive list of organisms that are mollusks. Mollusk shells, they're made of minerals like calcite, aragonite. You're really going to see a mollusk shell that is just made of, common, like skeleton and bone. It's usually made of minerals. And mollusks are benthic feeders, which means they attach themselves to the seafloor just like brachiopods would, and filter feed. Next group is plants. Now, plants, they first appeared on Earth in the Carboniferous period. The first animals came before the first plants. So, that's pretty unique. Now, these plants that were back then, they were huge. Some grew up to be even a striking 18 meters high. Ferns, club mosses, and horsetails, they were very, very, very popular back then. They would just cover the earth. The next group is reptiles. Now, the first reptiles evolved in the mid-Carboniferous period, which is the same period where the plants evolved, another coincidence. The first aquatic reptile to hit the water was called the mosasaur, and he evolved about in the Ordovician or Devonian period, both of which are dubbed the nickname the Age of Fishes. And now you may see in the second picture that, hey, that's not a reptile, that's a dinosaur. Actually, that isn't a dinosaur, it is a reptile, because no dinosaurs swam or flew. Those guys that you might talk about, they are actually reptiles. Dinosaurs only ran and walked. They did not fly or swim. Now, the last group we're going to be talking about is sponges. Sponges, they evolved during the Cambrian period, which is the first geological period, the farthest back that scientists have came to conclude on. Sponges, they are very simple. There's not a lot to them. They're multicellular. They are not composed of one cell. And they weren't that big back then. Like, you might see some sponges nowadays that are multiple feet long. But these back then, they were very short, just 2 to 6 inches in length. Well, that concludes my PowerPoint. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you navigating the website. Please, I hope you enjoyed all the groups, and I will see you later. Bye.